Hello friends, today we will create a flow together and this is the user story. You can find it in the descriptions or feel free to pause the video and read it all. According to the user story, we need to create a screen flow and I created a diagram on the Lucid app. So customers are calling call centers and support representatives need to check if the account exists or not. If it doesn't exist, then they need to create an account. If it does exist, or if they created an account, they need to check if the contact exists. If it doesn't exist, they need to create a contact. If the contact exists, or if they created new contact, they need to create a case and they need to relate it to this account and contact. That's all. It's not that complicated. Let's go to our UI. Just go to setup and write flow and click new flow here, and we will choose screen flow. Now you can either use freeform or auto layout, it's your choice, but I will use auto layout today. Since we decided to create a screen flow, it's need to start with screen. So let's start with it. So let's make a label. So let's write a description. Okay. Now for the footer, we don't want pause and previous since this is just one first step and we don't want previous button, confuse users here. So let's configure footer, hide previous button, hide pause button, and this button will be here, and if there will be one screen in our flow, it will show as finish, but if there will be second screen, it will show as next. According to our diagram, we need to check if account exists. So how can we do that? In the case, we have different fields, and in here there is a lookup for account object. So let's get advantage of this and use lookup component. For the lookup component, we will use object API name. So let's go back to case, manager and case. API name is case. Be careful with spaces. And we need a field API name. Fields and relationships. And our field name is account ID. For this API name, let's say lookup accounts. Be careful with the spaces. And that's all. So, and let's make a title first. And let's make it lookup accounts. Or let's make it search accounts. A space. Let's make it bigger and bold. So we have a title, we have a lookup, and the user told us that if the account doesn't exist, we need account name and billing address. Let's add them. So account name and billing address can be text. So let's add two text fields here, components here, and let's make it label as name, and API name is account name, and for the billing address, account billing address. But if the account exists, we don't need these two fields, so we need to set component visibility it's available here. So we don't want to display always. We want to display if the conditions met. What's our condition? What can be? We can check if it exists in the lookup. So let's look up accounts, and we can check either record ID or record name. It doesn't matter. But if record ID is null, then let's show this component. So true. If it doesn't exist, then if it is null, then this field will be visible. If it's not null, then these will be hidden. So let's do the same for the billing address as well. Okay, we are ready for the accounts. Let's check for the contact as well. We will let's make it consistent. And we will add lookup here as well. So in our case object, contact field is here. So we will look up contact ID. Copy this, and field API name is contact ID. Object is case. Label, make it consistent, and we will leave as is the rest. Look up accounts and look up contacts. So we need 4 fields here, if I remember correctly. For contact records, they need first name, last name, title, and email address. So there is a name component to use for first name and last name, and we need text, and we need an email address. For the name component, API name, we will leave as is here, and we need to set component visibility again. So this time, look up contacts, record ID is now true, and here we need to write title, contact title, and set component visibility. Look up contacts, record ID is now done. For the email and component visibility, the same. Look up contacts, record ID is now true. So we check the accounts, we check the contacts, but let's make this title bigger as well. So now we will search accounts first as here, and we will search contact as well as here. And now the next step is creating a case. Let's make it bigger. So for the case, which fields we needed? We need case subject, description, and priority. So we need subject, and for the description let's make it long text area, and we need priority, but I will come shortly. So let's say subject, API name is case subject, and for the long text area it will be description. We don't want to set component visibility because support reps will be always create a case here. So the last step is priority, and let's check if case has priority, and this is here. So this is a pick list and priority, and let's click, and we see there are 3 options here, but we don't want to manually assign 3 options to our flow pick list, because in the future developers may change these options. They may add another option, or they may remove one of them, and in that case, if we assign manual pick list values to my flow, I have to update my flow and it may cause errors. So I will dynamically assign these pick list values to my flow pick list values. How can I do this? First, I need to use pick list component. I will label as priority, and for the choices, instead of adding manually, I will create a new resource. This is a pick list choice set. So our object is case, and data type is pick list, and field is priority. I will not change the order, so I will click done. So this is ready. Now our screen is ready. Let's check the screen first, and then we will continue, because our screen is ready, but it's just on the memory. It didn't go through to any database, or it didn't interact with our Salesforce organization yet. It's just on the memory case. This use support representative just fill the fields, and that's all. But let's check if everything is correct, then we will continue. Let's save the flow first. Okay, let's save it and activate it, and let's debug. So these are the debug options. They are fine for me. So as you see, you can put in name and billing address for account, and you can add first name, last name, title, and email for the contact. Let's check if the visibility setting is working. So let's choose Burlington Textiles. As you see, all accounts fields disappeared. And for the contact, let's try John. So as you see, it's disappeared as well. And once it's ready, then user can create a case. Okay, we can close this one. Our screen is perfect. Now we need to create a flow according to this diagram. So we need to check if account exists. So we need a decision here for the flow. Let's create a decision element here. This decision element will check if account exists. So the outcome will be account exists, and my condition is all conditions should be met, and we have a lookup accounts, and we have a record ID if the account exists. So is null. If the account exists, my conditions should be checked, and when user look up for record ID, if it is null, it shouldn't come to this pathway because it says account exists, so it should be false. And the other one, account doesn't exist. So we have two paths in this decision element, and if, according to my diagram, if it is yes, if the account exists, then it will check the contact, so we don't need to put anything here. But if it doesn't exist, then I need to create an account. So let's create an account here. We have create records elements. So we will use separate resources and lateral values, and it will be for account object, and we need to set field values. So what was it? Account name, and for the value we have screen. So we have screen component, account name text, so it will be assigned. So the next one is billing address. So in here we don't have billing address, but we have a billing street, so the address will be assigned to billing street. We have account billing address component here, so it will assign and it will be done. So I created the record account, and now I need to assign these records to the element. Use assignment. So our variable is lookup accounts record ID equals to our newly created account. So this is account ID from create account. So let's click done. So now we are ready for the next step. The next step is, according to my diagram, we need to check if contact exists or not. So let's create another decision element here. And label is if contact exists. Condition is lookup contact record ID is not null, so I need to check value should be false. So we have two paths here again, and if it doesn't exist, then I need to create a contact here. Use separate resource and literal values, and it will be on contact object. And the fields, I have 4 fields. First name, it will be from contact name, first name, and I have last name, it will be from the same component again, last name, and I have title from contact title component, I have email. Contact email component. So for the email, I need to choose value. Our fields are ready, but we need to relate it to a contact. So we need to add another field. So we have account ID here, and now we will make the value the same as lookup accounts record ID. So now it's related. Let's assign this contact to a bucket. Assignment. And the variables is lookup contact record ID equals to contact ID from create contact. Now our assignment is ready. According to my diagram, now we need to create a case. So we need to create another record. In here, it to account and contact. Okay, we have one record to create, and we will use separate values. This time we will create a case object, case report. Now, which fields we needed? We need to relate them, account ID to the lookup account ID, and we need to relate it to the contact as well. Now it's related. Let's create the fields. First we had subject, and it will be from case subject that we created, and we need description, and it's coming from case description component, and we have priority, and it will be case coming from the case priority list. So they already, we pushed it to the database. So we created a case, we have account and contact. If they are not exist, if they exist, they will relate it to this case. But although it's ready, we need to show to a user if the process is successful. So let's create another screen here, and let's label it successful. Let's say case related, and we need to configure footer. So we need to finish. We don't want previous because it may cause confusion, and hide pause. Now let's put the display text here. So we are ready. Our flow is ready, and it's exactly built as we described in the diagram. Let's debug it, if it's working or not. Saved, activated the version, and let's debug. I need to check if there are any contacts to the Burlington Textiles. Yeah, Jack Rogers. Let's check it. So we can see all the fields here, they are visible, but if we choose account fields not visible. And for the contact, we have Jack Rogers on Burlington Textiles, and you can see that it is so Jack Rogers. Now we will create a case. Let's create a case. Let's make it priority medium. Click next, and as you see, our screen flow is successful, and also we have the successful screen. So let's add this flow to an app. Let's use sales, not the classic one, lightning one. Let's go to utility items, add utility, flow, and we will choose, okay, we will choose this flow and click save. And we are in sales at the moment, and we have a flow here. So click it. Now we can see our flow here, and let's check this time. Let's choose an hotel, and let's choose John this time, and create a case. Test 2, test 2, priority high. Next. So this is successful. Finish. And let's create another one without any account and contact. So let's make it last name. Title Mr. Email is priority is low. So this is successful again. So let's go to cases first. So we have 3 cases created. So let's check this one. So as you see, this is contact name is Jack and Burlington Textiles. And go to other ones. Test 2 is John Bond Grand Hotels, and test 3 is, these are the contact and account we created. So let's go to accounts. So this one for screen flow, and for the contacts, test contact for screen flow. So our flow is working perfectly. Thank you very much, and hope to see you again for future flows.